Hello, YouTube. I'll tell you about a very interesting location in Russia that is accessible, but in itself, it may not be safe at all to go and explore in that location. And it contains secrets that definitely go back to World War II, but I think well beyond it. So let me explain. We're speaking about the Russian Federation, Krasnodar territory, Tuapse region. That's in the Western Caucasus. Chelipsy rock. It is more familiar as an entire family of Indyuk or turkey, as in a large bird, Indyushka, female turkey, and Indyushonak, or turkey poult or chick. If you look at the maps of the 17th, 18th, and even 19th centuries, you will not find these names, but you will find something else. Two peaks of large and small Chelipsy, or as it sounded earlier, Chelipsu, by the name of the river that flowed in these places. It was also the name of a small village near the mountain. Indyushonak Indyushonaks are also called freestanding blocks up to 28 meters high. Indyuk and Indyushka mountains are the most accessible, per the reports of those who have, and visited peaks by tourists and mountain climbers in the Caucasus area. About 600 meters north of Mount Indyuk, there is another rocky peak, which, due to its lower absolute height, tourists called Indyushka. I think it's about 800 meters. So I want to give you all these details and whatever I have in my notes from open sources, but at least it will give you the overall picture. At these peaks, a number of freestanding bizarre-shaped rocks have formed, which are popularly called Indyushonaks, and their relative height ranges from 12 meters to 28 meters. Okay, many tourists have seen a mysterious metal door on Mount Indyushka, closing the entrance to the tunnel leading up the mountain. There is a legend that this is a water intake built by the Germans in 1942. This is during the World War II and the occupation of Soviet territory by Nazi Germany. And that there is an underground lake in Mount Indyushka. But the Nazis had no time for elaborate structures that autumn and winter, and there is no water pipeline. Perhaps the door was installed before the war by the Chekists, secret police operatives in the USSR, to close the entrance to the tunnels to the underground cities of the previous planetary civilization on Mount Indyushka and Indyuk. There is this hypothesis, so that you know. Well, the official account is this. The old Vodozabor, that would be water fence, campsite lot is a place fenced off with a metal fence and a grid. This is a concrete bunker of a former ammunition depot. The sound of running water can be heard outside the door. On the map, this place is marked as VDR, abbreviation for water reservoir, водохранилище in Russian. There's more information, Allah will be presenting it later in this video about that site. But let's look at the available information about the general area. To me, the mountains contain secrets based on what I have been able to collect from open sources. I have not been to that part of Caucasus myself. I've been to the Caucasus, but not in that part. In the year 1908, the Armavir-Tuapse Railway Joint Stock Company was established. That was in the days of the Russian Empire. The railway officially entered service in 1915. During the survey work, to one of the military cartographers, geologists, or engineers of the railway, the rocky peak of Chelipsi seemed like the head of a turkey, and the new name of the mountain as Indyuk was recorded on the maps, replacing the native Chelipsi. During the construction of the railway on the northwestern spur of the Chelipsi rock, now Mount Indyuk, a water intake was built for the Goit railway station. Its remains are still preserved near Mount Indyushka, and on the southwestern slope of Mount Indyuk, an open-pit mining operation was organized. Few people know, but the stone sea, so to say, the sea of stones or rocks on the Mount Indyushka is not of natural origin. This is nothing more than a gravel pit. It was used for the construction and filling of the railway leading from Armavir to Tuapse. A huge part of the mountain that was originally higher and had a blockage towards the cliff was simply blown up. Stone rocks were used after the construction was completed for the foundation and filling of roads. The Tuapse port and the railway were built with the personal funds of the shareholders. And we'll look at this too a little bit later. In order for the road to go to Tuapse, 6 tunnels had to be cut through the mountains and several viaducts had to be erected. All the work was done almost manually, as well as a unique tunnel for descending from the Goit Pass, the highest point. In a straight line, the train would accelerate to cosmic speeds on descent. It was decided to make a spiral tunnel that would smoothly allow the train to descend to Tuapse. There are 3 tunnels along the entire spiral: large, 1,015 meters, medium, 356 meters, and the small, 169 meters. The spiral is round, and the exit from the spiral is located exactly under the entrance, only 30 meters lower. They were built without any navigation, without satellites, using a pickaxe and a shovel, and under the guidance of an engineer with a compass in his hand. The remains of stone buildings have also been preserved, and all the equipment has been dismantled and removed. There were also huge stone blocks both under the scree and in the forest, which simply did not have time or could not be removed for unknown reasons. During the construction of the railway, a water intake was built for the Goit railway station on the northwestern spur of the Chelipsi cliff. Its remains are still preserved near Mount Indyushka. There was also a narrow gauge railway on the Mount Indyuk. Where exactly it took place can only be assumed. After the quarry was closed, it was dismantled. It is only known that it did not reach that stone sea of rocks up at the mountain. There was also one of the terrible defensive battles for Tuapse in World War II. We'll get to that later. And the chestnuts that grow there in huge quantities most likely appeared thanks to a local tribe called Shapsugi, literally translated as living by the sea. They were the ones who gave the name to the village, Shapsugskaya. The structure of Indyuk itself is creation of water and fire, a former underwater volcano. About 170 million years ago, when the waters of the ancient ocean were tapping on the territory of the North Caucasus, a strong volcanic eruption occurred. The lava solidified into a mountain with altitude or height of more than 900 meters. The volcano itself was destroyed by the explosion, although some people still consider it dormant or extinct, like Karadag in Crimea. It is sometimes also called by another name, the Stone Sphinx. On maps of the 19th century, Mount Indyuk was called Chelipsi. The rock received its modern name in the 1890s. The name is explained by the similarity of the mountain peak to the bird turkey. Turkey, the bird. This name was given to the rock formation by military engineers who laid the railway line between Armavir and Tuapse in these places. So I'm giving you different accounts that seem to coincide. Now, Yefremov, a Kuban scientist, called Mount Indyushka a stone sphinx and worthy comparison for the described rocky peak. The sphinx is a mythical zoomorphic creature in ancient Greece and ancient Egypt, and also Central Asia, if you look at my videos. But outwardly, this rock formation does not resemble a sphinx. Mount Indyushka is located 40 kilometers from the city of Tuapse. There are several ways to get to its surroundings. The classic way is through the sea to the mountains, through Zhubga, Tuapse, etc. But some choose a shorter option, like to the village of Shahumyan and the famous Shahumyan Pass, the road of which is very popular among those who like to quickly get to the sea, bypassing seasonal summer traffic jams. The road there is so-so. Now, the village of Indyushka got its name from Mount Indyushka, at the foot of which it is located. Erroneous accounts has it that the name comes from a distorted Adyghe, local indigenous people, word of Hinikushk, where Hind is people in Asia and Kushk is a mountain, which translates to a mountain of Hindus. According to another hypothesis, the name of the mountain is due to the fact that once its shape resembled the head of a bird turkey. Geologist Lamidze has determined that Mount Indyushka is the remnant of an underwater volcano that formed on the bottom of the Tethys Ocean. Again, we mention it, 165 to 175 million years ago. The height of the mountain here is given as 856 meters. Indyushka, a low rock that, Indyushonik, a low rock that even a child can climb, is half destroyed. Its body drooped to the southwestern slope in a huge scattering of stone fragments. There is a small monument at the top of the mountain. On it, two hands are holding a red star, the symbol of the Red Army. The monument was erected in honor of the fallen soldiers during the Great Patriotic War, World War II. According to geological data, Mount Indyushka is the tip of an extinct volcano, which in ancient times was located at the bottom of the sea. And again, its last eruption occurred about 170 million years ago. However, there is another hypothesis that says that Indyushka is an unformed volcano. It looks like a sloping hill at the depth of which there's a core of petrified lava. Part of it froze in vertical fractures, and over time these formations turned into noticeable remnants. The long-term erosion process has formed rocks that are great for rock climbing. There are many hooks, canopies, depressions, shells, and cavities in the rock massifs. So before I get to something else, I want to let you know that under Tsar Nicholas II, there were very interesting developments pertaining to what we can call paranormal phenomena, including assassinations of Russian scientists who invented very unusual high-tech weapon-type systems. And you can find it in my videos. And I think that the military expedition at the site of this Indyushka and Indyushonik mountains had a special purpose. We just don't know what. I think this is something that is well hidden in their archives. Very interesting in itself. Now, here's what I saved for the last. This is what someone who ventured there recalled. And this locked door is located on the wooded slope of Mount Indyushka, Tuapse region, very far from civilization. There is not a single road nearby, even an abandoned one. There is a sound outside the door as if water is flowing into a large tank. That person was at this facility in about year 1999. This is a World War II era water intake in which the Germans set up a mechanical and muscular line for raising water to the surface. For this, a rear platoon responsible for water supply was even formed. When that person went down there, he didn't understand whether it was a natural fracture in the rock or an artificial one. It goes 30 to 35 meters deep, horizontally, obliquely. There is a narrowing in the middle, and at the end, there is a lake with a good water flow. After the war, the intake was redone for peaceful purposes by cutting a drift in another place, where it is still in the form of a concrete structure with two hatches, one welded, one not. But it is dangerous to go down into the hatches because there is a stream of water below with a furious flow rate of liters per minute. And climbing into the crack is even more dangerous because they can accuse per some kind of anti-government criminal code. They, he refers to the authorities, and he mentioned what they can accuse him for, but I can't put it in the video. This hypothesis is supported, he continued, by the strategic futility of the town of Indyuk, that's what he called it. But the Germans were fighting for it to the last. So what is down there? Why were the Nazis holding on to it? It's a village, he called it a town, but what was the secret? I suggest you see my other videos about the Caucasus and the battle for the control over its esoteric secrets, especially during the days of World War II. One of the persons who I often mention in my videos about the strange Baikal humanoids, underwater humanoids, one of the persons, Mikhail Demidenko, a former interpreter Chinese language for the Red Army, and more than that, he was there during his childhood years under the German occupation, and he revealed quite a lot too. That's what I wanted to let you know today. So you know that there are places in the world outside of the United States, outside of Area 51 or ranches, paranormal ranches and so forth, that hold secrets to the past that I think we know almost nothing about. And those places are almost accessible. Of course, I wouldn't recommend to anybody going, especially now during the wartime, to a place like this, but it's there, and maybe someday, when it's allowed, archaeologists and other researchers from Russian Federation and other countries will study it. We shall see. I want to thank you for your attention to my videos. If you can support the research, you'll see how to do it in the links in the description to the video. Please subscribe to my channel and please like my videos.